Okay. So, next task. We need filter terms, filter types, fun stuff like that. So, in order to do things like that, for this particular file, we'll end up writing it now to in SQLite. Okay, so we're going to need a set of folders. So we're going to add filter type. Okay, and then we're going to need a filter term. Another one, filter type term. All right, certainly seems redundant, but there's a method to my madness. Filter term. All right, then we're going to end up needing all of the appropriate folders. We're going to look at our templates for guidance here. So we need actions, models, view models, and views. So let's go ahead and add folder, actions, models, view models, views. Okay. We have to start with the model called filter term model. Okay, pretty basic so far. And this is where we can look at the template model here. And we're going to grab everything that's in the template model, and then we will remove things appropriately. So we'll go here, paste. Now we double check on the template model. Is there a classifier at the top? There is. And what did we start with? We didn't paste all of it. So we're going to go back to here, grab everything from the constructor, go down to here, copy it carefully, paste it all in now. Alright, so now it starts at that point. We can place everything that's in the template model with filter term model. Yep. And then everything that says template with filter term. Okay. Alright, we don't have anything that says template in here, which is fine. It's exactly what I expected. So then we can do item property changed. Perfect. We'll minimize the interface notification, keep record tracking, and then we look at table fields and values. Now for filter terms, we're going to look at our structure, and basically everything that says record ID, we're going to replace with filter term ID. Okay? And then everything uppercase, record ID, is going to be replaced with filter term ID. Okay, so now we have that. Filter term ID formatted, which is correct. And then is the record only local? We have that. Okay. And then filter term ID style, which we're still working out the bugs on. So I'm actually going to get rid of that. And then is record only local? I think we're only working with local stuff here because it's not actually going to go to the SQL Server. So we're going to get rid of this. And then local field ID, we'll get rid of that too. Okay. Text field is going to be replaced with filter term. Okay. Pretty self-explanatory. And then we will replace the capital version. Very good. So now we have that. And then we have a date field. But we really don't have a date field. We have integers and we have text. So filter term, is it shown as second, shown as multi-shown, first comparison, second comparison, wildcard before, wildcard after. And those should also be integers. Right, yeah, those should be integers. Okay, So if we went back and we changed this to, sorry, I'm on the other screen. So we'll switch that back to integers. Yep, save that. Okay, very good. All right, so we have those definitions. We don't have any dates. We will have integers, so we'll take the dates out. We have integer fields. We don't need any decimals. We'll take that out. Now, since several of ours are technically Boolean fields, but they're being sent in as integers because SQLite doesn't have a Boolean, we'll have to use something like this for is Boolean. I think that's actually all of them. Yep. So we'll get rid of the regular integer field, and then we could make a subregion for text fields versus Boolean fields if we wanted to. But I think what I'll probably do is just make a subregion for different fields. So we could just do region, filter, term. Okay, and region, filter, term. Okay, pretty simple. And then the next one is going to be is. Yep, this is going to be the name of the field. So we're just going to copy it from the table. Region is first filter value shown for this filter term. And we're going to replace everything in here with S. The words Boolean field would replace with first filter value shown, because it is already there. So we can make sure that it's still there with the capitals, right? So that's 12 of them. And then we can switch the lowercase as well in the selection. There we go. So is first filter value shown, and we have yes and no and that field. So that's going to be a region for that field. Why? Because it's so much easier to just collapse it. All right, so we'll take another one, and we will absolutely make a second region here. And as you can expect, it would be is the word first with the word second. Okay, pretty simple. All right, so now I have is first, is second. That one gets minimized. That's pretty easy. And then multi. Okay, so we start with region, just like so. And then we'll take this one and we'll replace first with multi. Place selection. Okay, so we got rid of that. So making sure our fields look good, they translated correctly. Perfect. And that's our region for multi. All right. We'll put a couple more items in here. And then, so we will replace this one. Okay. So we're going to replace the words first filter value shown with the words wild card before filter value. And actually, I have it spelled with a capital C in code, so we'll use, or in the table, so I'm going to use that. So it is wildcard before filter value. Yep, we will replace. Okay, so that part looks good. And then we will simply paste again. Alright, and then same thing, filter is wildcard after filter value, place the selection. Okay, minimize that one. Alright, and then we have is and after good, and then we need to have a couple of text fields. We can minimize that. We can look at our text field here. We're going to probably put a region around this one too. Call it filter term ID. Okay, region, filter, term ID. It's not doing anything except allow me to do that. Okay, so now I have a filter term. Okay, and we'll put that one here. Then we'll replace the words filter term with first comparison text or symbol. Okay, place that. And then we will do lowercase as well. Okay, so now we have first comparison text or symbol, and then basically we're going to do the same exact thing. So now we're going to replace the word first with the word second. We're going to keep the capitalization appropriate. Okay, like so, and replace the selection. Excellent. So now we have that field. So we region each field appropriately. Okay. So we have all that. Our filter term model is now made. Yep. Now we can always do a simple model as well, because we do have a simple model example over here, and I think we're going to. So we're going to add a class. We will say filter term. I don't know that I want simple model in this case, because simple models make a lot of sense when you're going to the network. This one we're really not, so that's fine. So we have filter term model, template model, that part is there. Then we have actions. So we're going to look at actions. We're going to minimize this. So we'll look at this one. And we're going to make one here. Class, filter, term, actions. Good. And then we look at our template. We basically take everything in here, and we're going to move it all over, and then remove the stuff we don't need. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so obviously nothing really wants to work. But if we take the simple ones and start with replacing the word template with the word filter term throughout the document. Okay. Features dot filter term. We can replace this one and those few here. So this is actions, view models, and views, which we don't have anything with, and the actions really doesn't have much to do with those yet. But we're going to leave that there for now. We have the interface notification, which is fine. We have the SQLite, which we'll use. We have SQL Server, which we won't. Okay, that one's good. And then navigation, which we'll use. Okay, and then utilities, which are done. So this one is static collections of objects, including a simple model. Okay, which we won't use. Okay, and then filter term model places with filter term underscore n. Alright, so that part's done. Now we have a list of filter terms, but this one says there's an ambiguous reference between models.filter term and project term filter term models. Okay, so I must have built a model filter terms previously. I did. So I guess this one, which really isn't used, can go away. So we're going to delete that. Alright. So models, yep, get rid of that. And now we have our corrected one. So now this is referring to that filter term, that's list filter terms. this is selected filter term. This is new filter term. Okay, those are static objects. Perfect. With local record count, it's always going to be local, which is fine. SQLite methods. This one's a drop table. I don't want any chance of that happening. So we're going to remove that. And then this one is create table. Well, that table already exists. So yeah, I guess some fields don't exist in it, but like tracking fields and such, they don't exist there. So we could probably do that from some of this. But if we wanted to add a new one, you know, maybe we should. As we build this up, it makes some sense. So we can how do we add all of these fields easily? Well, how many? So it says multiple rows to insert. Okay, but lots of views open. Let's get rid of that. So we got filter term and we got template. We're going to put them side by side. We're going to take I don't know that there's any way just add a bunch of fields to this table very quickly. I guess when it comes to filter terms, not super important as long as it's built correctly. So if we're trying to create the SQL table in the first place, like we'll move this to another computer, we'll need a way to populate it. I know there's a way to do that. Interesting. What does this say? Extensions, collations, code snippets, SQL functions, create a view, create a table, refresh schema. Yeah, okay. Single table. Yeah. So T template. So this is going to be interface creator SQLite to be T template. T interface to filter term. Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, let's do that. Finish. Okay. So export completed. Let's find out. C temp. Oh, yeah, that actually worked. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we could do a populate SQL table, because if it doesn't exist, then we'll want those values to always be those values. Drop SQLite table, filter term, okay. You create SQLite table, and then we would need something similar that was populate. We're gonna call it, yeah, populate. Populate SQLite table, filter term, yep. Action, string builder, and then this one says drop to exist. Well, none of these are gonna happen. Goodbye. Alright, so instead, we can then do this. My guess is that's gonna end up being stupid long. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Alright. So it took out the syntax corrections, and now I can make it a string literal. Perfect, I think. And essentially, that's each one of the commands. And I do believe that this could I think we can just run append statements on each of these like this. Dot append, like so. And yeah, I think I can just strap it to the end like this. Okay. Paste. Okay, so when I'm pasting, it's doing that. But if I took it with the semicolon and I took it with the word insert, semicolon, and the word insert. Okay, so paste and then Control Z, which will undo the automatic formatting. Paste, Control Z. Paste, Control Z. Okay, so that seems to undo the automatic formatting, but I'm getting extra semicolon in here. So let's just do this part of it. Paste, Control Z. Okay, paste, Control Z. Excellent, paste, Control Z. Paste, Control Z. Paste, Control Z. Oh, there's an extra word insert here. Get rid of that. Paste, Z. So that's just then Control V, Control Z. Works for me. So we end up with all of these commands, right? And then it's going to run the command, and it's going to either say, hey, it's done, or it's not done. So this is then the populate SQLite table. Okay. So this class would have to exist within the utility for SQLite then, but maybe not. I think inside of XAML application startup, it says navigation go to menu, create local DB and all objects. So this event is inside of the SQLite utility, but the SQLite utility is also inside of template one. So I don't, that's strange. Okay. So, this is like the model itself, right? So what if we just have utility startup that was static, that would call all these things? It would be separate. It wouldn't cause nesting inside of each other. Because the app XAML file, which is this one, not the resources, code behind. This one says it wants to create the local database and all objects. I don't think that having them circularly reference each other is a good idea, because, well, this one is filter term actions. It's got a method in here to populate, and it's going to call SQLite with it. So I don't necessarily want SQLite to call it. But what I can do is I can have the application code behind, probably call that one, and then that one will call SQLite, and then it won't cause this random circle. So this is filter term actions, and I think, I don't know if I wanted to put these in the app class, but I guess we could. This is the interaction logic for the app. So we could create a method in here that fires during application startup that basically just says create DB in all objects, and it would call the appropriate methods, the appropriate classes all the way through, and then say, hey, make these. I think filter term actions. So let's find out if there's a problem putting stuff in here. I have this feeling something's gonna go on. So this is app XAML, wide resources from code behind. Yeah, application code behind. Okay. Handling exceptions. Not a a big fan of how that doesn't show me a progress thing. But WPF versus WinForms. Oh, that's fine. Okay. I don't know if I don't know if it'd be a problem putting methods here. And it seems like my music has stopped. So we will ad blockers are not allowed on YouTube. Yes, they are. I'm going to train ad blocker to block YouTube's ad blocker. Oh, look at that. Blocked. All right. Let's see. So this is application startup. This is application exit. I don't know if I shouldn't put a method here. But if I did a private void here, then that method could access it, right? And then we could just tell it to start up everything. So we can just simply do private void, initiate local SQLite DB. All right, so we want to make sure that that happens, and essentially in here it would say, hey, if that happens, but create local DB of objects is not necessarily what needs to happen inside of SQLite. So this one, yeah. So we can just kind of take create local DB and all objects and go into here, right? Yeah, so we have create local DB and all objects, and then this one, if we have the navigation utility already here, then we should be able to peg an instance of the SQLite utility, right? So private SQLite utility SQLite equals new SQLite public SQLite utility SQLite. Okay. That becomes a piece we can use, and now we have this one, and this one says create SQLite DB. Well, if we have access to the SQLite utility here, then we simply say create SQLite DB just like that. And if that works, then great, continues. And then it says, all right, SQLite, create all SQLite tables. Excellent. All right, create all SQLite views. But yeah, that. So go to the definition for SQLite tables. This is calling, initial modules for the startup. Yeah. Which would essentially be in each class of sorts. So as I build this, I don't want to keep messing with that one. So would it be another function in here? And I can manage that function easier for creating all SQLite tables, because the views are going to want tables being made first. So I think create all SQLite tables, go to definition, create SQLite DB. This one kind of makes sense. It has the database folder path and the name and whatever. That one just uses the properties up top. But when it comes to creating the SQLite tables themselves, Yeah, we're just gonna copy that. We go to app XAML. Alright, we're gonna hope for the best here. Paste that in here. Alright, so create all SQL-like tables. And that means we would need to call those individual classes. And I think for this function, we can probably declare instance of the class and then make them. So we could do something like filter type, filter term, and filter term actions, filter term actions equals new filter term actions, right? And then down here, we would basically say if filter term actions dot create SQL-like table filter term. Actually, yeah, the yes no would boom. Alright. So essentially, if that does not get created, then it does something and it doesn't do anything else. But if that works, then we could say populate SQL term, right? And then it can do something else. So this one is basically saying if it's not going to happen, so we're expecting something like this. Yeah. So we have that part and that database creation step. Okay. During SQL-like table the filter term table creation. Okay. Well, it's not an error. That's the step, right? This basically says if it doesn't come back if it comes back as false, then that's what that is. But if it came back as true, then it's going to do the next thing. So the database creation steps are never going to be filled in unless there was an error. So maybe this needs to be rephrased a little bit. Maybe the database creation step needs to go before it for filter term table creation. Then this needs to happen. And if this fails, we just return false. Return false. So if that comes back and then it didn't do it. The database creation step for SQLite. So applications, we could call it application step, I think. So private string application startup. We don't have any notification for interface changes, and this is the partial class of the application, but I think we can put that here. So let's find out. Let's just go to templates, models. Here. Yep. So I think that means notification changed. Like so. Okay, so now we have notifications and we have a partial class. So we don't need a constructor, right? And this would be a little bit different. So essentially this means application startup step, which is this one. And then this, I think, becomes a little bit easier to work with, of just, if that didn't work, return false. Filter table, filter term, table creation. Okay. It's a little easier to read, I do think. Create all SQLite tables. So, create local DB in all objects. We basically say, hey, SQLite DB, create all SQL tables, create all SQL views. Okay. And then we can kind of go that route. So I think we'll have to clean this up. It won't have to be SQLite. I mean, creating the SQLite database inside the SQLite command makes sense. It's all fine, I guess. My life is lovely now, I'm focused on me. You said you were about to die, I guess the car is on E. But see, I ain't even tripping, cause I just chose to believe that somebody gon' come around and give me just what I need. I don't wanna see you flying, see you looking down and out. Coming to me crying, saying you miss having me around. Gave you chances and you blew it, you so easily influenced. All the times you told me beat it, now you gotta face the music, I'm saying. That would be part of the startup screen, wouldn't it? Maybe we do a splash screen instead of nesting all this inside of the application. We could do like a setup prompt of sorts. Right, mashing it all into this partial class of the application. Because I don't know what's going to go wrong with that. So I just don't want a circular reference between, you know, the filter terms and whatever. So either way, this stuff relies on SQLite stuff, which is a lower class thing. Here we have the ability of dropping the table if we need to, creating the table if we need to, and repopulating the table if we needed to. And repopulating it, and then we have that. We have clear, count only. Well, we don't have that field, so we can get rid of that. And then we have SQLite, which is fine. Observable collection. Simple model. Well, we don't. This is get simple list. We're not going to use that for this. I don't think. Filter term. Get filter term SQLite. Yeah. List filter terms. Select filter terms SQLite. It says list page model. Really? Okay. List page model. Alright, so then this is filter term filters. Okay, well we don't have filters set up yet, so we would have to go to class. Filter term filters. Okay, make this a public class. Yep, just like that. Save. Alright, now that should match, which it does. Alright, so we got select SQLite, we got update SQLite. Alright, and then we have everything SQL Server, which we're going to eliminate. Yep, don't need it. Okay. And then this one is talking about detailed model, stuff that we don't have yet. So that's all fine too. Alright. pretty sure it's just me. Yep. Very sure it's just me. So that's fine. I will be back on that then. Let's grab this one. Okay. Yep. Let's get my music back up. Right, music is back, and I apologize. I have some Chex Mix and I'm chewing on it. Alright, there we go. So we got that part, which is good. So, without getting myself too confused, I just want to know if it works. And I think what we can probably do is identify if the table already exists, or if the database already exists. And if the database already exists, or the thing already exists, I don't know that I need to go through and make the tables. But you see the tables don't need to be made if they're already made, so that's where the drop doesn't exist thing, or drop exists or whatever. So we have that. But we have drop SQLite table, create SQLite table, populate SQLite table, which is fine. So drop won't be accessed unless we're resetting it, and then create and populate can be accessed separately. Or we can trap them together and just make up one, I think. But our purposes, I think throwing a bunch of stuff into this application partial class may not be the best idea, which is fine. But I think maybe we create like a startup utility of sorts, and that would reach into everything. And then it's clean, it's separate. Yeah, we could probably call it like an application startup or something like that. And maybe we just do a separate. Yeah, we'll just do a separate utility in here, a class. We'll call it SQLite Start Setup utility. There we go, SQLite Setup utility. Now this becomes public. We don't need anything to do with notifications at all. We can have it one time, and then everything that deals with setting up the database or whatever can come out of there and not be in here. Objects create all SQLite tables. So we'll take this. Okay. We're gonna go to SQLite setup. Drop it again. Okay. I don't think it likes my ad blocker, but so let's see what we got. So we got the SQL, so what? We got the constructor. Alright, this is fine. We got a constructor, and we don't need interface notifications, but we do have methods. Okay, so in our methods, we're going to set create local DB and all objects, and SQLite as a utility. Then we could access the SQLite utility. We could say fields and what objects? Objects, yeah, we'll call it field objects. Okay, SQLite utility yeah, we'll do private SQLite utility equals new SQLite utility. Okay, just like that. SQLite, and then we would call it public SQLite utility SQLite get return SQLite. Okay, yeah, and I don't think we really need a set because we already have a set. I mean, it's a new SQLite utility. We're not giving it an option. We're just getting it, I think. But anyway, that's fine. So first one, SQLite, create SQLite DB. Pretty sure create SQLite DB can be part of that first setup. So it's not there. So let's move that. Oops. So SQL setup. Do a different method here. Yep. Create SQLite DB. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so directory, create directory. This should then be SQLite dot database folder path. Right? It's not method. Database folder path inside the SQLite utility. Database folder path is a private string. Okay. So do we make it a public string? Because then outside things could handle it. Save, copy. Set up. Database folder path. Okay, so create directory SQLite database folder path. If the file exists, database folder name, which would then be this one, database folder and name, which again, if we go to SQLite utility, database folder and name, okay, make that one public. Alright, save that, back to setup, that one is back. And SQLite connection dot create file, database folder, name. So we would do something like this. Boop. Alright, that would create a database folder and name. So basically says if it doesn't exist, make it. And report back that everything's golden. Things are good. That creates the SQLite DB. Okay. So create local DB, and then this one comes out. Basically say it is false or it didn't happen. SQLite database was not created successfully. I think we can stop. Right. We would just say return false. We're done. Alright. But we were doing something down here, basically saying, giving us a message box of creation stopped at. Really? What's with my music now? Play. Thank you. Jeez. I think the ads keep trying to pop up. I don't even click on it anymore. Their site's so broken. Horrible. So share. Yep, works for me. Right. So basically says, okay, SQLite database was not created successfully. Return false. This attempts to create that, but the creation stopped at, because this is part of the setup. I think we can modularize this better. And if we took this string and put it outside, and yeah, I think that would would make sense, right? So we could then do private string creation progress. Okay, public string creation progress. Get that one, set that one. Okay. So then we would take everything that says creation stopped at within this one and put in that, and we would say current block, place that. Okay. There we go. So we have creation progress. So essentially, yeah, right. Creation progress. Local SQL DB. Yeah, it's just a statement about what's happening, and then if it fails, return false. Right, so if this didn't work, return false. That's it. Okay, and then that's pretty simple, I think. So if it didn't get created, local database is the current step. That's what's happening. It failed. It failed there. Okay, then it has to create all SQLite tables. Definition. Create all SQLite tables includes a variety of other stuff. And again, the same thing can happen. But since we don't, we have a create SQLite table filter term already. All right, so let's just take all of this, comment it out since we don't need it. And then we can do creation progress. Okay. Filter term table. Right, so if that failed, then it didn't complete. All right, so this is filter term actions, right? Yeah. Okay, so filter term actions calls SQLite utility, and this also calls SQLite utility, but we're not creating any circular references. So that's fine. So, and if it did work, then we have to populate it. Populate SQLite table, tfilter term. Filter terms. Initialization. Yeah, filter terms, table creation. Okay. Initialization, so the table existed, it's been initialized, and it's been populated like the initial data. Pretty simple, I think. Alright, so that should work. And then here, we don't need any of that, we're going to comment this out. Okay, save. So I know that we're going to have errors, we're not going to be able to launch it. And that's okay. So we're going to find out what we can do. Filter term actions. Alright, filter term has a views and a view models. They're here, but I think we just need some stuff in them first. So we're going to add class, we're going to call it filter term list view. There. And then a view model, filter term list view model. Okay. Save, close, close. That one's not correct. Alright, so we got rid of those. Now we have 36 more errors. Alright, so this one, application startup, says, hey, SQLite, which is this event here, it can't create the database and all its objects. So we're going to take that out. So we're going to comment that out. And then we're going to put in a to-do, and we're going to say reinsert code to initialize local DB. Okay. Comment that stuff out too. Very good. So that part's done. Startup progress never gets used, so that's fine. This result also never gets used. SQLite U never gets used. So we're just gonna comment this stuff out. Boink. Let's go. All right. Go to the menu. Exception. Application exit. That's fine. This is application startup step, which also goes away, and then SQLite U, I think, can go away here too. It just says navigation. Go to main window. New window. That's making the app have a copy of the navigation utility, which I think worked before, but I don't know that I really want to do that. Okay, there we go. So this is in filter term actions record ID. Replaced with filter term ID within the current document, like so. That's an easy one. Yep. Field. I do believe it gets replaced with filter term. Yeah. And filter term in the current. Oh, there we go. Yep. Okay. Then create, populate, adding the filter term. We're gonna add a username, filter term, and then we basically need like each of the fields. So we'll go to here. We need all of those fields there. We went to our SQLite instead. You can probably get a listing of all the fields pretty easily. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so after filter term, B filter term. So I would say new, create a view. B filter term, select all from T filter term. So that's the data. We don't have any triggers. We don't really have anything there, but we just need each of the fields. So, yeah, I guess. So, is first filter shown? Is second filter shown? Right? Is multi-filter value shown? And then we need 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we don't need to worry about this. Not on this one. First comparison texture symbol, second comparison texture symbol is the wildcard with 4 filter value and is the wildcard after filter value. Simple enough. Values, we have filter term ID, record added user by name, then filter term. This is where we would then need to basically put all of these after filter term, just like this, but they need symbols. field declarations followed by values, and this no longer needs to separate like that, so it can go together. And this one says if the filter term ID is not 0, well, I don't need that part, and then we simply append that. And this one says select local filter term ID from filter term. Well, that's not something we're doing here. We're going to select filter term ID, filter term, where the row is last inserted. That's the next category. Alright, and here the first couple values is the primary key, followed by who added it, and then we need to do all of the fields, which makes sense. So we'll take that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, let's split the window. Go up here. Very good. So we have filter term, which is fine. And then we have this one. I don't know a better way of doing this. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but I don't know it. And this makes a ton of sense to me. So, it's readable, I think. Okay, so now we have all of those values. Very good. Term ID equals filter term ID, like that. Okay, and then this one says if that doesn't exist, then equals 0. What again? We're doing filter term ID. So essentially, if it doesn't equal 0, action is true. But essentially, if it got to this point, it's true. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave that there. Alright, so we have this one. And that's the add function. Then we had a clear function. This one's supposed to count local only. We're not dealing with counts, and we probably don't want something that's going to clear all of them from the table. So we're going to get rid of that. Count local only. Again, we're not worried about that here. Delete filter term. Probably don't need to worry about that. There's no delete column on this one. There's no soft delete here. So yes, now I'm not gonna know what to do for now. And then this one is getting it based on record ID, which will encounter this much, but we basically take everything from, yeah, we don't, this field doesn't have like an added by username. It doesn't have that either. I might add it, identify like who changed it, if somebody new added it. I mean, okay. Fine. So we'll take this. All input. Okay. Primary filter term ID. Yeah. Filter term ID. Record tracking. Yeah. That's fine. And then we have filter term to string. So then we need all of the fields, I think. But since some of these are integers, some of them are text. Yeah. Nulls. Text can be nulls. Huh. So integer base field, decimal field doesn't exist, but we have a lot of integer fields. We have our filter term, and then we have like its first filter value shown. Paste. Okay. Copy and paste. Okay. So that paste again. Alright, so we have that one. And we have the next one. Now, these can't be null. They have a not null function on them. But I guess it's not a horrible thing to do that. And then is multi-value shown. Alright, group multi-value. This one, just like that. Alright, so this should allow for that. Getting these models all set up is such a pain. I'm so glad when this is done. Alright, well, multi-value, and then the first comparative symbol.
Jack it up.
One. That one. This one. That one. Okay. And then I think we can take is wildcard before. Oops. This one is after. Okay. And it is after. Great. So we have that part. And that means that part's done. That's get based on the record ID. We then have list. Huh. This is doing the simple list, but it's just doing the simple list. I don't know. I want to deal with the simple list. And it would be more like the select. It would just be all of them without any filters. Yeah, basically. So once I have one of these written, I can kind of paste it for the other one. So count, matching records, filter term. And then we have where. Right. Shit. Right, so local record counter isn't gonna be right if we're not appending the where statement. Alright, well. That makes sense. Well, that's the string builder. That's the whole thing to a string. Essentially, I only want the where condition outlined once, but we have a count condition that we need a where condition in. For this one, we have a where condition in, and we still need to build the where condition. And that's super fun. And the where condition doesn't apply to the order by condition. I think I'm needing a couple of string builders. So I think I would need a string builder for count and a string builder for select. Sucks when I realize I give myself a ton of work. Not horrible. It's just building it, you know, the way it's supposed to, I guess. But we can't build it the template, so we know to build it that way. Start with the list. We'll come back to the SQL. So list, filter term, it's fine. So this would become filter term model. Yep. Fine. As filter term. And then we could just do list filter terms, which is that. Okay. Now filter terms, there's like 18 filter terms. Yeah. Well, that's all fine, I guess. Sucks when it's on at that level. Alright. So we go to our templates, our actions, we go to our select template for SQLite. We have to make a couple of new string builders. String builder for where, and the string builder for count. Alright, so string builder for count is this part here. That's pretty basic. And then we would need a string builder for select. Select, just like that. Okay, and then that becomes this one. Now, that string builder for where is this one, where template is greater than or equal to 0, and if filters are not null, then we say if the filter for the text field, filter value for text field is not null. But really come out of the filter type, right? Because the selected text field filter type, which is a filter type model, definition here, we have a filter type ID. No, right, this is that filter type. And okay. Yeah, we would have to make sure that the selected one was not null. So we would say if filters dot selected text filter is not null, then you do a nested if here. That. So we basically say, hey, yeah, we select that filter type, okay, and we would then have to is the translation, right? So we just need the field name followed by the filter type string and the value, I think. Yeah, one has to reset it each time, type it each time. Oh, we could go back to filter types, close all, save. Fully aware I have a ton of bugs, a ton of errors. Not gonna build. Yeah, plenty of errors. Okay, that's great. Now this is in filter term actions. Alright, take this out. Just comment that out. Boom. This one. Alright. So, filter term. This one is filter term actions. SQL select filter term to select. Right, but if we want to filter term model, okay, then we could do a method, right? And because we're giving it filter term give it filter value, and it was set to return a string from the filter term. That could work, right? First comparison. Yeah, and it would be completely based on current one, and if a wildcard is before or after, so the first comparator symbol is always there. We wouldn't have to hard code any of this. It would come from this table. Okay. So this method would be public string filter term SQL. Filter term SQL with value. String filter value. But it doesn't always have to be a string, it could be a null value. Okay. And then we can say clear variables. Return values. Okay. And the first one's going to be string return value. We don't need the prefix, we can just call it return value. Return value. Okay. That's a nullable string. Right, so by default it's just null. Alright. Null reference term. Yeah, I know. Okay, no. It's not a null reference return. Because that'll just be string dot empty. Like that. And that's acceptable. Why is this member just not actually substantive compared to static and we do it to static? Okay, so essentially if you say the filter term with the value has to be built with that, would say if first comparison type. Filter. First. Okay. But yeah. So some of these filter values could be integers. Well, that would, I guess, depend on the filter type. Type. Alright. Determine if it's treating it like a date or a string. Okay. Well, that's a real pain in my ass, what that is. Let's see if we can get this thing to run again. Not quite. 28 errors. Alright. Filters. Just filter term actions. Just comment that out. Actions. Want that out. Okay. Next one's filter term. Detail view. Yeah. Okay. Got it. I'll bet.
pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down.
Save us